Sunda Pichai woke up at 4:30 a.m. just like he did every morning. The sun hadn't risen yet over Silicon Valley, but his day had already begun. He reached for his phone and scrolled through 87 unread emails that had arrived overnight from teams across different time zones. This was normal for the CEO of one of the world's largest technology companies. As he quietly slipped out of bed, careful not to wake his sleeping wife Anjali, he caught a glimpse of the family photo on his nightstand. It showed happier times, his daughter Ria smiling at her 10th birthday party and his son Dev proudly holding a science fair trophy. Sunda couldn't remember the last time he had been present for a full family event without his phone buzzing with urgent messages. Just another day, he whispered to himself as he headed to the shower. By 5:15 a.m., Sunda sat in his home office with a cup of black coffee, leading a video call with executives in Tokyo. The meeting ran longer than expected, and he heard his children getting ready for school in the hallway. He wanted to step out and say goodbye, but the conversation about quarterly targets couldn't be interrupted. When the call finally ended, the house was quiet. His family had already left. A note from Anjali sat on the kitchen counter. "We missed you at breakfast again. Dev has his important soccer match today at 4 p.m. Please try to make it this time." Sunda sighed, knowing that a crucial board meeting was scheduled for the same time. At the company headquarters, Sunda moved from one meeting to another. His assistant kept reminding him of the time as the afternoon approached. "Your son's soccer match starts in an hour, sir," she said. Sunda nodded, but just then his phone rang. It was Richard Evans, the company's biggest investor. "Sunda, we need to talk about the new project right now," Richard said. "The numbers don't look good, and the board is getting nervous." Sunda looked at his watch. If he took this call, he would miss Dev's match for sure. His mind raced through possibilities. Could he reschedule with Richard? But the investor was flying to London tonight. Could he join the soccer match late? But Dev had been disappointed so many times before. Just then, an email arrived from the school. The subject line made his heart sink. "Dev Pichai injured during warm-up. Please come to Memorial Hospital." The world seemed to stop for Sunda. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his jacket and rushed toward the door. "Sir, what about the board meeting?" His assistant called after him. "Cancel everything," Sunda shouted back. "Family emergency." As his driver sped toward the hospital, Sunda's phone exploded with messages. Richard was angry. Board members were confused. The marketing team needed urgent approvals for tomorrow's product launch. For the first time in years, Sunda switched off his phone completely. At the hospital, he found Anjali sitting alone in the waiting room, her eyes red from crying. "How is he?" Sunda asked, his voice shaking. "Where were you?" Anjali replied, not answering his question. Her voice wasn't angry, it was tired, defeated. "He kept looking for you in the stands before the game. He wanted you to see him play as team captain." Sunda had no answer. The weight of all his missed moments crashed down on him at once. A doctor approached them with a clipboard in hand. "Mr. and Mrs. Pichai, we need to talk about your son's condition." And in that moment, Sunda Pichai, the powerful CEO who made decisions affecting billions of people worldwide, felt completely helpless. The hospital waiting room was cold and quiet. Sunda and Anjali sat side by side, but the distance between them felt enormous. The doctor had explained that Dev had broken his leg in 2 places. He would need surgery and months of recovery. The good news was that he would heal completely, but the bad news was that his soccer season, the one Sunda had missed almost entirely, was over. "You can see him now," the nurse said, leading them to Dev's room. When they entered, Sunda's heart broke. His 14-year-old son looked so small in the hospital bed, his leg elevated and wrapped in temporary bandages. Dev's eyes lit up when he saw his father, then quickly dimmed. "You came?" Dev said, his voice flat. "Of course I came," Sunda replied, moving to his son's bedside. "I'm so sorry I wasn't at your match." Dev looked away. "It doesn't matter. You're never there anyway." The words hit Sunda like a physical blow. He wanted to explain about important meetings and company responsibilities, but for once, all those things seemed meaningless. Later that night, after Dev had fallen asleep, Sunda and Anjali stepped into the hallway to talk. "This can't continue," Anjali said, her voice firm but quiet. "Your children are growing up without you. I'm raising them alone while you build your empire." Sunda ran his hands through his hair. The company needs me right now. We're in the middle of launching 3 major products and negotiating the biggest acquisition in our history. And what about what your family needs? Anjali asked. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. I wasn't going to give you this today, but maybe now is the right time. Sunda opened the envelope. Inside was a hand-drawn card from Ria, their 11-year-old daughter. It read, Happy Father's Day, Daddy. I miss you. Father's Day was 3 weeks ago, Anjali said softly. She's been waiting to give it to you in person. Shame washed over Sunda. He hadn't even realized he had missed Father's Day. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Richard again. Sunda ignored it. I need to make some changes, he admitted. That's what you said after you missed Christmas last year, Anjali reminded him. And after you missed my birthday, and after you promised to coach Dev's team but never showed up for a single practice. She took a deep breath. I love you, Sunda. The children love you. But love isn't enough anymore. We need you present in our lives, not just your money or your promises. Then she said the words that would change everything. I'm giving you 1 month. 1 month to show us that we matter more than your company. If nothing changes, the children and I will move back to my parents' home in Michigan. Sunda felt his world collapsing. You can't be serious. You would leave after 16 years of marriage. I'm not leaving you, Anjali said. You left us years ago. You just keep your body in our house sometimes. Before Sunda could respond, his phone rang again. This time it was Jessica, the company's chief operating officer. I have to take this, he said automatically. Anjali's eyes filled with tears. And there's your answer, she whispered, turning to go back to Deb's room. Sunda stood alone in the hospital hallway, torn between the call and his family. For the first time, he saw clearly what his choices had cost him. His phone continued to ring in his hand. 1 month to choose between the company he had helped build and the family he had already started to lose. 1 month to decide what really mattered. The next morning, Sunda arrived at the company headquarters looking tired. He had spent the night at the hospital, sleeping in an uncomfortable chair next to Deb's bed. His mind kept replaying Anjali's ultimatum. 1 month to prove his family mattered more than his work. You look terrible, Jessica said when she saw him. As the COO, she was one of the few people who could speak to him so directly. Bad night? Dev broke his leg. He had surgery, Sunda explained briefly. What did I miss yesterday? Jessica handed him a tablet. The security team discovered something serious at 2 a.m. Someone tried to hack our main servers. They didn't get through, but it was a sophisticated attack. Sunda scrolled through the report, his heart sinking. This was exactly the kind of crisis that could consume him for weeks. The board wants an emergency meeting at noon, Jessica continued. And Richard Evans has called 7 times. He's furious you missed yesterday's call. Sunda took a deep breath. Schedule the board meeting. I'll deal with Richard, but I need to leave by 3 p.m. today. Dev is coming home from the hospital. Jessica looked surprised. In 5 years working together, she had never heard Sunda prioritize a family matter over work. I'll make it happen, she said. Throughout the morning, Sunda tried to focus on the security breach. The technical team believed it came from a rival company trying to steal new product designs. The legal team wanted to pursue action. The PR team worried about public reaction if news leaked. Everyone needed decisions from him. At 11:30 a.m., his personal phone rang. It was Ria's school. Mr. Pichai, your daughter had a panic attack during her math presentation, the school counselor explained. She's asking for her mother, but we can't reach Mrs. Pichai. Anjali is at the hospital with our son, Sunda said. I'll come get Ria. He ended the call and looked at the time. The board meeting was in 30 minutes. Richard Evans had just arrived in the building, expecting to see him first. Sunda called Jessica into his office. I need to get my daughter from school. She's having some kind of anxiety attack. Jessica's eyes widened. But the board is waiting. And Richard. I know, Sunda interrupted. Can you start the meeting? Explain I had a family emergency, but I'll join remotely in an hour. They won't like it, Jessica warned. Richard especially. He flew back from London just for this. I understand. Sunda grabbed his jacket, but right now, my daughter needs me more than they do. As he drove to Ria's school, his phone wouldn't stop ringing. He connected it to the car's speaker system. "Sunda, where the hell are you?" Richard's angry voice filled the car. "We have a major security crisis and you're nowhere to be found." "I have a family emergency," Sunda explained. "My daughter." "Your daughter has a mother for that." Richard cut in harshly. "Your company has only one CEO. We're talking about billions of dollars at risk here." "I'll join the meeting remotely in an hour," Sunda said firmly. "Listen carefully." Richard's voice turned cold. "The board is already questioning your commitment. If you're not physically in that meeting room in 15 minutes, we'll be discussing your replacement as well as the security breach." The threat hung in the air. Sunda gripped the steering wheel tighter as he pulled into the school parking lot. Through the office window, you could see Rhea sitting alone, her small shoulders shaking as she cried. His company or his family, the choice that had seemed theoretical yesterday was now painfully real. "I understand," Sunda said quietly and ended the call. Then he turned off his phone completely and walked into the school to find his daughter. Rhea looked up when her father entered the school counselor's office. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. For a moment, she seemed confused to see him instead of her mother. "Daddy," she whispered, "I thought you would be at work." "Not today," Sunda said, kneeling beside her chair. "Today I'm right where I need to be." The school counselor, Mrs. Chen, gave Sunda a concerned look. Rhea had a panic attack during her math presentation. She kept saying she couldn't breathe. Sunda put his arm around his daughter's shoulders. "What happened, sweetheart?" Rhea's voice was small. "I was scared about my presentation. Mom helped me practice all week, but she said you would come watch today. I kept looking at the door waiting for you." The guilt hit Sunda hard. He hadn't even known about the presentation. "I'm sorry," he said, meaning it completely. As they drove home, Rhea seemed to recover quickly, talking about her friends and a new book she was reading. Sunda realized how little he knew about his daughter's daily life. Who were these friends she mentioned? When had she become interested in mystery novels? At home, he heated some soup and made Rhea a sandwich. His phone remained off. For the first time in years, the world outside his family didn't exist. After lunch, they sat on the couch watching Rhea's favorite movie. Halfway through, the doorbell rang. Sunda opened it to find Jessica standing there, her face tense. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "The board meeting ended. They're not happy." Sunda stepped outside, closing the door behind him. "How bad is it?" "Richard wants you out," Jessica said bluntly. 3 board members supported him. The others want to give you a chance to explain, but it doesn't look good. Sunda nodded slowly. "And the security breach?" "We managed to contain it. There will be some damage to our reputation when the news breaks." Jessica studied his face. "What's going on with you, Sunda? I've never seen you walk away from a crisis before." Before he could answer, a car pulled into the driveway. It was Anjali, helping Dev out of the passenger seat. The boy was on crutches, his leg in a heavy cast. "I need to help my son," Sunda told Jessica. "We'll talk tomorrow." For the rest of the day, Sunda focused completely on his family. He helped Dev get settled on the living room couch. He ordered dinner from their favorite restaurant. He listened as Rhea told stories about school and as Dev complained about missing soccer. He watched Anjali move around the house, noticing how tired she looked, wondering when she had last taken a day off. That night, after the children were asleep, Sunda found Anjali sitting alone on the back porch. "Thank you for today," she said as he sat beside her. "The kids needed you." "I needed them too," Sunda admitted. "I've been missing so much." Anjali turned to face him. "Did something happen at work? You never ignore calls or miss meetings." Sunda took a deep breath. "Richard Evans threatened to replace me as CEO if I didn't attend the board meeting. I chose to stay with Rhea instead." Anjali's eyes widened. "The company means everything to you." "I thought it did," Sunda said. "But today, when I had to make a real choice, it wasn't even close." He reached for her hand. "I don't want to lose you or the kids. The company can replace me tomorrow, but nobody can replace me as Dev and Rhea's father." "Do you really mean that?" Anjali asked, hope and doubt mixing in her voice. Before Sunda could answer, his personal phone rang, the one even Jessica didn't have the number for. It was the chairman of the board. "I need to take this," Sunda said, looking at Anjali apologetically. The moment of truth had arrived sooner than he expected. Sunda held the phone in his hand, looking at the chairman's name flashing on the screen. Anjali watched him, her face a mixture of hope and disappointment. After 4 rings, Sunda made his decision. He pressed the decline button. "I'll call him back tomorrow," he said, putting the phone face down on the table. "Tonight is for us." Anjali's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure? It could be important." "It is important," Sunda agreed, "but not more important than this conversation." They talked for hours on the porch, really talked, in a way they hadn't for years. Sunda shared his fears about losing his position at the company. Anjali spoke about her loneliness, raising the children practically by herself. They remembered their early days together, before success and money had changed their lives. By midnight, they had a plan. It wouldn't be easy, but they were both committed to trying. The next morning, Sunda woke up early as usual, but instead of checking his emails, he made breakfast for the family. When Dev and Ria came down and saw their father flipping pancakes, their shocked faces made him realize how absent he had been. "You're still home?" Dev asked, clearly confused. "I'm working from home today," Sunda replied. "I thought I could drive you to your physical therapy appointment later." After breakfast, with the children getting ready for their day, Sunda finally turned on his work phone. It exploded with messages and missed calls. The chairman had left 5 voicemails, each sounding more urgent than the last. With Anjali sitting supportively beside him, Sunda called the chairman back. "Sunda," finally, the chairman said when he answered, "we need you in the office immediately. The security breach was worse than we thought. The press is asking questions. Richard is demanding an emergency vote on your leadership." Sunda took a deep breath. "I understand the situation is serious. I'll come in for a meeting at 11 a.m., but I need to tell you something first." "What could be more important than this crisis?" the chairman asked. "My family," Sunda said simply. "I've been neglecting them for years, and I won't do it anymore." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "What exactly are you saying, Sunda?" the chairman finally asked. "I'm saying I want to propose a change to the board. I need more balance in my life. I want to restructure the executive team to share some of my responsibilities." "Richard will never agree to that," the chairman warned. "He thinks you're already not committed enough." "Then Richard has a decision to make," Sunda said firmly. "Because I've made mine." After ending the call, Sunda looked at Anjali. "That might not go well." She squeezed his hand. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." At 11 a.m. sharp, Sunda walked into the company headquarters. Employees looked at him with curious eyes as he passed. Everyone had heard rumors about yesterday's missed meeting and Richard's anger. The boardroom fell silent when he entered. All 12 board members were present, with Richard Evans sitting at the far end, his face hard with disapproval. "Thank you for finally joining us," Richard said coldly. "We've been discussing the company's future leadership." Sunda nodded. "I understand. But before you make any decisions, I'd like to share something with you all." He placed a folder on the table and opened it, revealing a detailed plan he had worked on throughout the morning. "This is my proposal for restructuring the executive leadership of the company," Sunda announced, "including significant changes to my own role as CEO." The room erupted in surprised murmurs. Richard's face turned red with anger. "What kind of game are you playing?" Richard demanded. "No game," Sunda replied calmly. "Just making a choice that should have been made long ago." The boardroom fell completely silent as the board members looked through copies of Sunda's proposal. Richard Evans paced at the far end of the room, his face growing redder by the minute. "This is ridiculous," Richard finally exploded. "You want to split the CEO position into 2 roles. You want 3 days a week working from home? You're essentially asking for a part-time job while keeping full CEO pay." Sunda remained calm. "I'm not asking for anything. I'm telling you what I need to continue leading this company. If it doesn't work for the board, I understand. My resignation letter is on the last page of that folder." Several board members gasped. Martha Chen, the longest-serving member, spoke up first. "Sunda, you've taken this company from a small startup to a global leader. Stock prices have tripled under your leadership. Are you really willing to walk away from everything you've built?" "I'm not walking away," Sunda explained. "I'm finding balance. The company will benefit from the new structure." Jessica is more than capable of handling daily operations as co-CEO. I'll focus on innovation and strategy. Richard slammed his hand on the table. This is emotional blackmail. Your personal problems shouldn't affect company decisions. If you can't handle the job as it is, step down completely. The chairman raised his hand to quiet the room. Let's take a short break. We'll reconvene in 20 minutes. In the hallway outside, Jessica approached Sunda. Is this really what you want? She asked. Half the board thinks you're having some kind of breakdown. Sunda smiled slightly. For the first time in years, I'm thinking clearly. How do you feel about the co-CEO position? Honestly, terrified and excited, Jessica admitted. But I support you, whatever the board decides. Sunda's phone buzzed. It was a message from Anjali with a photo of Deb sitting up in bed, smiling and giving a thumbs up after his first physical therapy session. The caption read, "He's doing great. We miss you." Something warm filled Sunda's chest as he looked at the image. No matter what happened in the boardroom, he knew he was making the right choice. When the meeting resumed, the atmosphere had changed. The board members seemed less shocked and more thoughtful. We've discussed your proposal, the chairman began. While some concerns remain, the majority of us believe your new structure could work, with certain modifications. Richard interrupted angrily. This is a mistake. The markets will panic when they hear the CEO is stepping back. I'm not stepping back, Sunda corrected firmly. I'm stepping forward into a more sustainable and ultimately more productive leadership model. Martha Chen nodded. Many innovative companies are exploring similar structures. We could be on the cutting edge of corporate leadership. The debate continued for another hour. Finally, the chairman called for a vote. Sunda waited outside while the board made their decision. He felt strangely peaceful, knowing that either outcome would be okay. Jessica came to find him after the vote. 7-5 in favor of your proposal, with some adjustments to the transition timeline. Relief washed over Sunda, and Richard? Furious, Jessica said with a small smile. He's threatening to sell his shares, but the chairman thinks he's bluffing. As Sunda drove home that evening, he felt lighter than he had in years. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. The press would ask questions. Some investors might lose confidence. Richard would continue to fight him. But none of that mattered when he pulled into his driveway and saw his family waiting at the front door. Ria ran out to meet him, followed by Anjali helping Dev with his crutches. How did it go? Anjali asked anxiously. Sunda wrapped his arms around all three of them. It went exactly as it needed to. For the first time in years, he was home in time for dinner. And he would be tomorrow, too. 3 months passed since the board approved Sunda's new leadership structure. The transition had not been smooth. As predicted, Richard Evans stole most of his shares in the company, causing a temporary drop in stock prices. Business magazines wrote articles questioning Sunda's commitment and predicting the company's decline. Competitors spread rumors that he was secretly battling a serious illness. But inside the company, something unexpected was happening. These quarterly results are surprising, Jessica said during their weekly co-CEO meeting in Sunda's home office. She spread the charts across his desk. Productivity is up 12% across all departments. Employee turnover has dropped to the lowest level in 5 years. Sunda nodded, studying the numbers. People are working more efficiently when they know their leaders respect work-life balance. The security breach crisis had been managed successfully under their shared leadership. Jessica handled the technical and PR aspects, while Sunda focused on rebuilding trust with key clients. Together, they had turned a potential disaster into an opportunity to showcase the company's resilience. The board is impressed, Jessica continued. Even Martha Chen mentioned yesterday that she was skeptical at first, but now she's considering implementing a similar model in her other companies. And Richard? Sunda asked. Jessica smiled. Still angry, but quieter about it since our stock price recovered last week. After Jessica left, Sunda walked into the kitchen where Anjali was helping Ria with her science project. Dev sat at the table too, his leg healing well, working on math homework. How was your meeting? Anjali asked. Good, Sunda replied. Things are stabilizing at work. Dad, can you help me with this problem? Dev asked, something he never would have done 3 months ago when Sunda was barely home. As Sunda sat down to help his son, his phone rang. It was a journalist from Time magazine. "Mr. Pichai, we're doing a feature story on changing leadership models in tech companies. Your recent restructuring has attracted a lot of attention. Could we schedule an interview?" "Yes," Sunda agreed. "But I'd like Jessica to join as co-CEO. And I can only do it next Thursday afternoon when my children are at school." After the call, Anjali gave him a proud smile. "3 months ago, you would have dropped everything for that interview." "3 months ago, I didn't know what I was missing," Sunda replied. That weekend, the family went on a camping trip, something Sunda had always been too busy to do before. They hiked, slowly, because of Deb's healing leg, fished in a small lake, and sat around a campfire telling stories. Sunda left his work phone at home and checked his personal phone only once a day. On Sunday evening, as they drove back to the city, Dev asked the question Sunda had been expecting. "Dad, are you ever going to go back to working all the time?" Sunda looked at his son in the rearview mirror. "No, that part of my life is over. But don't you miss being the big boss?" Raya asked from the back seat. "I'm still a big boss," Sunda laughed. "I just share the job now. And honestly, I was never as good at it when I was tired and stressed all the time." Anjali reached over and squeezed his hand. The next morning, Sunda arrived at the office for his 3 in-office days of the week. He found a small crowd gathered around the reception area. "What's happening?" he asked a nearby employee. "Haven't you seen the news? Time magazine just named our company one of the most innovative workplaces because of our dual CEO model. The stock price jumped 8% this morning." Sunda made his way to his office where Jessica was waiting with the chairman. "Congratulations," the chairman said, shaking both their hands. "Your crazy idea is being called the future of corporate leadership. Even Richard Evans has gone quiet." Jessica grinned. "Not bad for a part-time CEO, right?" Sunda smiled back. "Not bad at all." Later that day, as Sunda drove home in time for Deb's physical therapy appointment, he thought about how close he had come to losing everything that mattered, the choice that had shocked everyone. Choosing family over traditional success had somehow led to a different, better kind of success. 1 year had passed since Sunda made his life-changing decision. The changes in his family were clear for anyone to see. Dev's leg had fully healed, and he was back to playing soccer, with Sunda attending most of his games. Rhea had overcome her anxiety about public speaking and had even won the school debate competition. Anjali seemed years younger, the constant worry lines on her forehead now only appearing when the children tested her patience. But the biggest transformation was in their home. It was filled with laughter, conversation, and togetherness that had been missing for so long. Today was a special day. The family was getting ready for an important event at the company headquarters. Sunda adjusted his tie in the bedroom mirror while Anjali helped Rhea with her dress. "Are you nervous?" Anjali asked, catching his eye in the mirror. "A little," Sunda admitted. "It's not every day you get to change an entire industry." The dual CEO model that had begun as Sunda's desperate attempt to save his family had grown into something much bigger. Business schools were studying it. Other tech companies were copying it. And today, Sunda and Jessica would announce the company's Family First initiative, a complete overhaul of how the company approached work-life balance for all 50,000 employees. When they arrived at the company headquarters, a crowd of reporters waited outside. Camera flashes lit up as Sunda stepped out of the car with his family. "Mr. Pichai, is it true your company is introducing 6-hour workdays?" one reporter called out. "You'll hear all the details inside," Sunda replied with a smile. The main auditorium was packed with employees, board members, and media. Richard Evans sat in the front row, his face neutral. Though still on the board, he had gradually accepted the new direction after seeing the company's continued success. Jessica was already on stage, checking the presentation slides. She waved when she saw Sunda and his family. "Ready for this?" she asked as Sunda joined her. "More than ready," he replied. The chairman introduced them, and the audience applauded as Sunda and Jessica stepped forward. "1 year ago," Sunda began, "I made a choice that many people thought would end my career. I chose my family over traditional ideas of corporate leadership." He looked at Anjali, Dev, and Rhea sitting in the front row. "What I didn't expect was that this personal choice would lead to our most successful year ever. Profits up 22%, employee satisfaction at record highs. Stock price doubled." Jessica continued, Today, we're announcing the next step. The Family First initiative will change how all our employees work. Together, they outlined the new program: flexible working hours, remote work options, paid family leave for both parents, on-site childcare, and a strict no-email policy during evenings and weekends. We believe people do their best work when they're happy and balanced, Sunda explained. When they don't have to choose between being good at their jobs and being good parents, partners, or friends. After the presentation, Richard Evans approached Sunda. "I thought you were crazy a year ago," Richard admitted. "I was wrong. This new direction is working, not just for profits, but for people." "Thank you for saying that," Sunda replied, genuinely surprised. As they drove home that evening, Ria asked, "Dad, are you famous now? All those reporters wanted to talk to you." Sunda laughed. "I'm not famous, sweetheart, but maybe our idea is becoming famous." "I'm proud of you," Anjali said quietly, "not just for your success at work, but for having the courage to change." Later that night, after the children were asleep, Sunda and Anjali sat on their back porch, the same spot where they had talked about separation 1 year ago. "Do you ever regret it?" Anjali asked. "Taking the risk? You could have lost everything." Sunda shook his head. "I almost did lose everything. You, the kids, the life that actually matters." He looked up at the stars, thinking about the journey of the past year. "The funny thing is, everyone was shocked when I chose my family over my company. But the real shock was discovering that it wasn't really a choice at all. Family was always the only answer."